Budget 2016 has set aside more money to the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, or MIDA, as well as tax incentives introduced to spur private investments. Now, to give his reaction to the budget, as well as to look at the industries that will drive growth and investments, we're joined live in the studio by MIDA CEO Asman Mahmud. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, before the Budget 2016 announcement, you shared with Bloomberg that growth areas like aerospace and medical devices were of keen interest. Post-Budget 2016, what kind of areas are exciting you most?
Well, if you look at the announcement, it is focused on giving incentive for reinvestment allowance, meaning that we are going to encourage existing companies and enterprises, especially in the manufacturing sector, to upgrade and invest and reinvest in their technology and production processes so that they become more efficient and increase their productivity in other areas in their production. So that will push the private sector, the existing companies especially, to reinvest, and especially in this challenging time, we need more investment to come in.
Certainly lots of challenges. In last week's economic report, manufacturing is seen to grow at 4.3% next year, but MIDA in their latest round of data show that this next quarter is going to be difficult for export sales and the manufacturing side. So how do we tally up those types of perspectives on how the sector is going?
Well, the budget also addressed the issue of certification and compliance, which we are going to incentivize industries to go into the services of these areas so that it will complement our industries to go and get them qualified there so that they can help them to export products all over the world.
Now, R&D is, of course, a big part of this reinvestment allowance to ensure that we move up the high value chain game. But do we have what it takes, looking at the incentives under Budget 26, to ensure that kind of growth happens?
Yes, because we are not starting from zero base. Moving forward, the innovation is the area that we want to encourage. Although now our R&D spending is 1% of GDP, so the incentive that we are providing is to push and to get more companies to participate and invest in research and development.
There's also a push here to boost private investment into the regional corridors. We've seen this kind of tactic before. What will see this time see success?
Well, it is what we call a momentum that we have started. I think this is to complement what we are doing now. That is why research and development is the integral part of even the 11 Malaysia Plan. So moving forward, we feel that even MIDA is actually have moved on to attract quality investment, meaning that highly capital intensive, knowledge-based, technology-driven, and of course, research and development is very important, which is what we are going to look at.
And ahead of the budget, we did have the manufacturers say they would prefer not to have a minimum wage hike, which we did see, and it will be delivered July 1st onwards next year. So looking at the potential pressures, the burden of costs on businesses in the manufacturing space and in services, how can they then manage their
Well, first of all, Malaysia is no longer a place where low-cost manufacturing. And all these measures and incentives is to help our industries to move up the value chain, going for more value-added industries, doing research and development so that they can be prepared for the future and contributing to the target of economic growth and also export that the government has set.
An interesting area as well is incentives for food production. And we recently spoke to the Chief Minister of Sarawak, where he said that instead of focusing solely on palm oil, for example, emphasis should be placed on food. So self-sufficiency is something that Malaysia is hoping to strive for. Is this going to be a part of that?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we talk about food security, and in fact, the existing program under the incentive for the food industry is going to expire at the end of the year. So recognizing the importance of food security for the country, that's why the government has decided, to extend the incentive for food industry, especially food production, until 2020. So that will encourage companies and industries to invest in these areas.
So again, this is a game about making sure that investment has that momentum to allow for that growth. Thank you so much for joining us around the set. Looking forward to our next chat.
Thank you very
And
much.
that was Azman Mahmood, CEO of the Malaysian Investment Development Authority.